All right, so what we're gonna do today is just a quick review about how yesterday I introduced our new unit, and we just talked a little bit about what we're gonna be talking about. So the first thing that we talked about that we're gonna be doing in our new unit is talking about natural resources. What is an example that we discussed that is a natural resource? Luciana? The sun, good.
Wood.
Wood, good, which comes from trees. Yes.
Coal.
Coal, good.
Sand, like sand.
Yes.
Or like clouds.
Yeah. Anything that is what?
Made by God.
Anything that is created by God, exactly, is a natural resource. Some of them are what we're going to be talking about today called renewable, which means they are renewed really quickly and you don't have to really worry about it running out at all. And some of them are called non-renewable, and they're a little bit more, they take a little bit more time to renew itself, so we have to be very careful when we're using those. Yes?
Didn't God create the animals and then the animals died and then the bodies made the natural resource?
Absolutely, yes, very good. Okay, so yesterday we also talked about one specific thing that happened in our time period, a natural disaster, and how actually years later they discovered research that actually it was a good thing, and at the time it was kind of, wow, what's going on? This disaster's happening. Could somebody tell me what that was? Luke?
Hurricane Hillary.
No, we didn't talk about that. Dalen?
The wildfire in Yellowstone.
The wildfire in Yellowstone. Good. So I have a video here to show you guys. And then remember yesterday when we talked about these the fires?
Yeah.
I said I'm going to do some research and find out what were the positive things that happened from this this fire.
Oh,
Okay. So here's a video. It's just actually a news clip. About it's actually years later.
Today, when the first fires at Yellowstone National Park broke out, Q2's Shaquille Cozart spoke with a former Q2 staff member who spearheaded news coverage for the community and is now helping to battle the state's wildfires.
Today marks the anniversary of the Yellowstone Park fires of 1988 that affected roughly 1 million acres of the area. And while many people may have stories of what they heard and even saw that day, we hear from one person who had a big part in bringing that news to the community.
And I'm Al Nash with this special report on the fires which have plagued the southeast corner of
Former Q2 News Director Al Nash said the fires of 1988 were unlike any other fires reported on years prior, and was the biggest of those fires in the West since 1910.
1988 was a watershed year for wildland fire, not just for Yellowstone National Park, but for all of the land management agencies.
According to the National Park Service, the fire started in mid-June of 1988 of natural causes. Park managers and fire behavioral specialists allowed the 18 lightning-caused blazes to burn until July 15th, when it was announced that no new naturally caused fires would be allowed to burn due to the unexpected dry spell in July.
We were all impacted for several weeks by the Yellowstone fire. It impacted the economy, it impacted the air quality, and you didn't have to be right next to the park to notice what was happening.
Nash said that getting coverage of the blaze to the community had its challenges. He said that after a few weeks of the initial start of the blaze, when Yellowstone started to really suppress the fire, was when coverage of the events in the newsroom started to ramp up.
We had at least a news crew in Yellowstone almost every day for weeks. We rented motel rooms in Red Lodge to have people sleep there and to edit tape and bring them back and forth from buildings. For a while, we were chartering private aircraft to bring tape out of West Yellowstone until that option was closed off.
Nash said that this was an incredibly important and once-in-a-lifetime story for the Q2 News team, who helped bring information to the community about the 1988 Yellowstone fires. Reporting in Billings, I'm Shaquille Cozart with MTN News.
Okay.
All right, thanks so much, Shaq. Now those fires.
All right, so we're just talking, get the lights, we're going to just talk a little bit about this. So first of all, what were some of the natural resources that were affected during these fires? Adam?
The trees.
The trees, good.
The grass.
The grass, good.
The air.
The air, good.
The air. The water.
Good, you're proud.
The land.
The land, good. So we have a lot, and probably the animals and different things like that, right? So we have a lot of natural resources in this story. So what were some of the negative things that were happening during this time that you just heard on the news? Okay, Nate.
The economy dropped.
The economy dropped, good. Jorge?
It burned almost 1 million acres.
Okay, good, it burned almost 1 million acres, good.
The air quality was really bad in
Air
Oregon.
quality, yes.
The people?
Yeah, the people were affected by it, had to move and different things like that. So we do see some negative things that happen. Now, we talk about natural resources, and we know, we read a scripture verse yesterday in Romans 8:28. What, does anybody remember what that verse was about? Romans 8:20 it said, it started off, for all things, go ahead.
Is it like God makes bad things for a reason?
Yes, basically that's kind of the sum of it. She said God makes bad things for a reason, not necessarily, but God works all things to good for those that love Him and are called according to His purpose. So we looked at these fires and said, well, it is a terrible thing, and obviously I wouldn't want to be living in the Yellowstone area during this time because of all the negative effects that happen. But God is in control, and He will bring good out of it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the research from years later of what actually good came out of these fires. So I did find an article for you guys to read a little bit. We're going to see what some of these positive effects that happen after the negative things were happening with the natural resources there. So let's see. Who wants to read this first paragraph? Okay, Noah, go ahead and read that out loud. Can you see it? Okay. No.
Can it come up?
Yeah, come on. Just the first one.
There was a lot of rhetoric
Yeah.
about the park never being the same, said Roy Lincoln, who fought fires in Yellowstone in college before spending the last 40 years in the park as a vegetarian management specialist. But the people in the park who understood fire history had expectations about what would happen next.
Okay, so let's see. Oh, so you want to read the next one?
These folks knew that the positive results of fire in Yellowstone included opening up the serotonin cones of the lodgepole pines, allowing new trees to grow. Plus, fire opens up forest canopies to allow new plant communities to flourish. The burn also released nutrients from fallen trees and dead vegetation, which increased the productivity of soil.
Okay, let's stop right there. Yesterday we talked about what are some of the things that may be positive that happen. So what is one of the things it's talking about in this paragraph that Oso just read? Luciana.
It releases nutrients.
Okay, it released nutrients. Good. Oso? What did it cause?
It caused open space so no trees can grow.
Okay, new plant communities to flourish, open space. Yep. Dalen?
The soil got replenished.
The soil got replenished and increased that, and it allowed new what here, Hannah?
Allow new trees to grow?
New trees to grow. So these are some of the positive things that happen. Yes.
Could I also read the next paragraph?
And Kaden has hand first, and then you can read if we need another one. So Kaden, go ahead and do the next one.
George also noted the animals in the park were largely unaffected by the flames, and many saved the moose, which prefers old growth forests, benefited after the fact. The burn created new feeding opportunities for birds and grazing animals, as well as the species that prey on them.
So did these fires really affect the animals?
No.
No. Isn't that surprising? God protected the animals there, but it actually was good because it created new feeding opportunities for the birds and for the animals that were there. So we'll do one more paragraph, Hannah.
In 1989, event record 2.7 million visitors flocked to Yellowstone to learn how the fire had affected the park, and learning more about the area's ecology actually increased the public's interest in the park.
So what was a positive result here?
More
Also?
visit tourist attraction.
Yeah, people were coming and their interest in the actual the ecology of the area increased. So there was more people there, more interested, and they were probably thinking, how could anything positive come out of these fires? And when they realized that some positive things were happening and they were visiting. So there's a lot of positive things. So we look at that verse in Romans and we realize that even though we may be going through something really difficult, and a lot of you are, is that right? A lot of you go through, like we had prayer requests this morning. There was a lot of people that were praying about healing and different things or unspokens. We have to remember that that God is in control. So if we see things like natural disasters and we're learning about all these natural resources, and we get nervous about it, maybe we see a hurricane destroy whatever, we have to understand that God is in control, just like this story here. All right, so we're gonna go back to our lesson here. Okay. So as we read, we're going to be looking at two questions as we begin to read this chapter. The first one, just read it out loud with me. What is a non-renewable energy resources? And the second one, read that with me. What are some advantages of using fossil fuels? We also are going to look at what are renewable resources too. I don't know why I don't have that question up here, but so as you're reading this, as we're reading this together and we're writing our notebooks, I want you to think about these questions because these are some of the things we're going to be talking about. But first, I want to do, actually let's go ahead and do really quickly, everyone turn to page 51. And yesterday we did a really quick skim of the whole chapter, but today I just want to go page by page, have you guys look at the pictures and the headings so we have an idea of what we're going to be learning throughout the entire unit, which I said will last us all the way through until we go to Christmas break. Page 51, everybody there? Daniela?
Yes,
Easy, 51. Okay. All right, so the first picture on page 51 is a picture of, what is the first picture there? A dam, good. So what is the natural resource that we see in this picture? Adam, water, right? And we'll talk about dams and how they are, they help us with water replenishing in just a little bit. And then also we look at the next cartoon looking picture. What do we have there? Trees. We have trees, good. So what is the natural resource there, Ari? Couple
Soil.
Soil and?
Trees.
Trees, good, very good. All right, let's turn to page 52. Now the next one, remember in reading class, we're talking about pictures and what goes underneath the picture. What is that word? Captions, thank you. Okay, what does the caption say for the picture on page 52, Oso?
It says oil drilling rig.
Okay, oil drilling rig. So what is the natural resource here?
Oil.
Okay, and of course there's what else in this picture?
Fire. Drilling.
Water, and what is like kind of the reflection in the water? What is that? The sun, good. Okay, now, has anybody ever seen an oil drilling rig? And have you seen one in the water? Or on
Not in
land?
the water, but I see it like all over the place.
All over the place on the
Stretch
land.
my grandparents.
We live in Texas, right? So we're driving that
I've seen
strip.
it at Huntington Beach.
Huntington Beach, okay. So yeah, so they have them in the water, but they also have them on land. All right, let's go to page 53. What do we see here?
A distillation tower.
Yeah, that's the, what is that called? Distillation tower. When we see that in orange, what is that called in our reading terms? Not a caption, but a
Heading.
heading. Very good. So this is the heading is telling us what this picture is now. Has anyone, this would be really cool, but has anyone ever seen one of these or been on an oil refinery place or saw that? You
I've
have?
seen some.
You have too? Okay. I just actually, I traveled, you guys know I traveled to Grace's volleyball game and I saw these, so I was asking my, and I didn't even realize I was gonna be teaching this unit next. But I was asking my husband, so he was giving me some information. First they, they have to get the oil from the land, right? And then they have to go through this process here. We're gonna be talking about that a little bit. It's a really cool, we'll watch some videos. It's a really cool process there. So what are, in that page, we have,
Oil.
to the right, we also have what is that picture? It has a little bit of a caption on it. Jenna? Oil spill. Okay, so sometimes, just like the forest fire, sometimes some negative things happen. What is the natural resource here? Everybody say together. Oil. Very good. All right, let's turn to page 54. Here's some more natural resources. I think each one of these pictures has a caption or a label underneath it. So what does the first one say together? Anthracites. Yeah. Next one. And the last one? Lignite. And these are all types of. Look at the heading. Coal. Yeah, natural resources. Yeah. So in the ground, obviously, these are just all examples of how the Lord just gives us and creates things in nature that we use every single day. And you're gonna look at some of the uses of some of this stuff. Okay, page 80 or 55. What do we have a picture of there? What does the caption say? Nuclear plants. And so the actual natural resources. Anybody have a guess?
Uranium.
Okay. What else?
Plutonium.
Okay. And we also have, because you saw that probably that heading, but also nuclear energy there. All right, let's skip over to page 58. All right. what do we have in their first picture? What is the label? Turbine. And then the second picture is the, has anyone been to Vietnam? You have? Okay. When we get to this page, you'll have to talk to us a little bit. Hey, you have been there?
I've drawn a, like right next to it.
Our two military kids. Did you live over there? No. All right, so what is the natural resource on this page? Water. Okay, next page. This is a big plant, geothermal plant. And this is probably something that's a little foreign to you guys. Maybe you never heard about this, but we're talking about geothermal energy. Now that is a renewable energy. All right, skip to page 60, or turn to page 60. How many of you have seen these on the side of the road? I'm sure everybody can raise your hand. Have you ever seen a truck carrying one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they
And the
are
outlets.
huge, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're gigantic.
It's because we go
These,
the singular propellers.
yeah, they are so huge. Okay, this is a wind farm. What is the renewable resource that is in this picture? Wind. Too smart. Okay, next page, 61.
House with solar.
We have, does anybody have solar panels on their house living here in El Paso?
I used to have San Antonio.
We have a house in San
Oh, you do? You have one there? Nobody has them on their house?
A bunch of them on base have
You
them. I do. Ones on base have them.
Okay, what is the natural resource here, Jenna?
The sun.
The sun. Very good. Solar energy. All right, let's go. Oh, we can skip the next two pages because we did those in our other unit. Let's go to page 64. What do we see as a natural resource here in this picture? Soil. Plants. Good. Very good. There's a farmer there. Does anybody have any family members who's a farmer? You do? Wow, we have a lot. Okay, good. Maybe at that time you guys can share this.
Well, they're kind of like, they're like farmers, but they don't like sell them. They just kind of.
They just have it in their own land. Okay. All right, page 65. What is our natural resources we see in these pictures?
Water.
Soil, water,
Plants.
plants. Very good.
Irrigation.
And then let's go to page. Let's stop right there. All right, we're gonna go back
Water
to page 52. I have an activity first for you. All right. Let me get my spinner up here. I'm gonna spin 3 different people, and you're gonna come up and stand up here. Okay. All right. She's not here. Oh, all right. I have to go stand over there.
Good job, Arden. No.
Adam.
Yay. It's Johnny. It was Angela, then Ari, then Adam.
Whoa. Come on up, Shirley. All right. In this activity, you will have 20 seconds on the clock, and when the timer goes off, I'm going to actually turn up so you can hear it. You have to stop where you are. We're going to start with Ari, and then Adam, and then Sade. You have 20 seconds to find as many counters as you can. Do you know what counters are in math? The little circles.
Yes, those
Okay.
circles.
They're hidden or sometimes out in the open, somewhere in this room. You have 20 seconds, but do not knock over the camera or do not go behind the screen. There's nothing behind you. Okay. Are ready? Do not run anywhere. Just walk.
Ari, go this way.
Go.
Ari, go this way. Stop.
Have a seat.
They're
Just Ari.
helping.
Just Ari.
Come on, Ari.
10 seconds.
Ari.
There's a ton over here.
Ari. That's Ari.
No, don't tell him.
They're telling me.
I got that one.
Do not tell him, Nate. Okay, stop.
Okay.
Alright, come on up here and just hold it in your hand. Alright, and now Adam has the same amount of time, and you have to find as many as you can. Ready?
Go. Okay, who's I'm not serious. I literally just went past 2. No!
Okay, stop. Come up here. It's not my activity. You gotta turn off the
Sade,
light.
you're the smartest one. You guys
Alright,
are
Sade.
Sade, you know what you do.
Walk, 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 walk.
You're filling the book. Hurry up.
No, just
Hurry
fill
up.
it in.
Oh, Sade.
Don't.
She's mine.
2,
Come on, get the
1. Stop.
That's what I was
Come up
saying.
here.
Really paid
All right. I need you guys to count how many you have.
I bet one fell through the crack.
I think Adam
You
won.
should have done them all.
One
at
fell
once.
through your
Yeah, I would have grabbed the
basketball. Grab the whole 2 handfuls.
Dang. 16.
Adam has 16. Oh,
I would have had 13 if I
Adam
grabbed
won.
I have 13. I have 12.
Okay.
I would have 13.
So,
but I would have
this activity didn't go as exactly how I planned, but the whole, if you think about it this way, the first person should have gotten the most, right? Because there was more to pick from. But here's the deal: is that I think what happened was Adam was here a little earlier because he had music class, so Adam knew kind of where the counters were. He was just observant and he started picking them up for me.
Or you should have just
Right,
grabbed the bucket.
And then the last one should have been, the lowest amount should have been Sade because she just had whatever was left. I probably put too many counters out.
I did.
But this is let me show you exactly why we did this activity, but you guys can go have a seat. You can just leave the counters there.
No, this is
Sade,
one, guys.
Sade, just leave them right there.
Oh.
And have a seat.
in the basket.
Okay,
That's what I was thinking.
the reason, let's just say it worked out the way it was supposed to. We're already had, let's just say 20, and then Adam had maybe 15, and then Sade maybe had 10. Why do you guys think the first person would have had more of the counters? No,
Because he had more to find.
he had more to find. Excellent. Anybody else have a different answer? Nate?
No, because he already found the easy ones.
You found the easy ones, good.
It was more amount.
There's more amount, exactly.
There's more, and then the more people that come, the less there is.
Exactly. There was more at the beginning, the more people come, the less that there is. Good. All right, so we're going to talk about renewable and non-renewable resources or energy, and we're going to use this kind of a little illustration here that we just did. So non-renewable resources are resources that are, once we use them up, it's really hard for them to replenish themselves. And it's kind of like the same thing when you were looking for the counters. Like you used a bunch of them up, and then it was kind of hard to find the little, if it went right the way it was supposed to go. It's kind of hard to find the ones that are left and remaining. And we're going to talk about how that really affects our how we live and the resources that we have around us. Okay. All right. Everybody, turn to page 52. We're going to begin reading, and you're going to have your notebooks out because you're going to be taking some vocab. Are you going to write some vocab down? Okay. So we will begin with the ones, and then we'll go 2s, 3s, and 4s to reading, and you just read a paragraph each. So Daniela, you'll begin, and then Cash, then Hannah, Josiah, and then Oso. Okay, and I will stop you when we have a vocab word on the board. Go ahead.
So from the fresh?
From the yes, from the fresh. Wait, hang on. Yes.
From the fresh water that plants need to grow to hidden veins of gold and silver, God has provided everything we need to live on earth. We call the materials on earth that are available for us for our use natural resources. Some of these resources we use for producing energy. Other resources we use to provide food and other products.
Great, stop right there. All right, go to your notebooks. Write the date. Today is November 29th. Okay, this is our first, we've already discussed this earlier today, and we discussed this yesterday, so you guys are going to be amazing at this first vocab word, which is natural resources. The definition is there are materials on Earth that are available on Earth. And we all know that these are God's resources that He gives us, God's natural resources that He gives us, that He made, His creation. Okay, and it says name some, we did plenty of that earlier. You guys can draw a picture of whatever the resources you want. You can draw a picture of the sun. You can draw a picture of water. You can draw a picture of coal. Or you can draw a picture of plants. Whatever you want to draw a picture of here, just to kind of understand what a natural resource is. Something that is naturally created by God and that we use to give us energy to live. And then Cash, when you're done writing, you'll read the next paragraph. So everyone's following along.
to meet their needs. Since we live in a fallen world, it is difficult to use natural resources without damaging or changing nature. This fact should motivate us to study God's world so we can determine better and safer ways to make use of natural resources.
Very good. So, this is why we're studying this. Well, of course, we need to know things, but we also need to see how can we use God's creation and to the best of our ability, so we're not wasting things, so we're actually able to make a difference. And we know that God is the one who created this, and we need to take that and be respectful of that. Okay? So, can anybody think, all the natural resources that we talked about earlier, can anybody think of a job, like a career, that somebody might have that would be one of these, have one of these natural resources in it? Adam?
One of those people that work on oil.
Good, people that work on oil rigs, yeah. Xander?
Scientists,
Scientists? And what kind of scientists?
like in labs.
Like a plant? Good, yeah, absolutely. Hannah?
A coal miner.
A coal miner, good. Kaden?
Engineer.
Engineer, what type of engineer?
What's it called?
You're right,
Engineer.
but what type?
Mechanical.
Mechanical? That would do what kind of stuff? Trying to get you confused. Do you think an engineer had to put those wind turbines together and figure that out? I think so, yeah, and maybe the ones who work on the turbines in the water dams. Yep, Luciana? Architect? Good. Luke?
Maybe someone who would ship water.
Okay, so like a driver that ship you out? Or the engineers that figure all that out? I'm not very smart with all that cash.
A lumberjack.
A lumberjack, good.
A
A farmer, good. Alright, that's what you're all gonna say. Oh, so?
ecologist.
Good, yes. Alright, I think everyone who has their hand raised had a chance to talk. Alright, so there's all kinds of jobs out there, and that's what I was trying, I actually emailed your parents to find out if any of them work in any of these fields. I mean, here we have even like the solar energy, that's a big thing here, and oil, a little bit further west, right? So if you have a parent that maybe works in one of these and you want them to come and talk to us or send a video, that'd be great. Yes, Hannah?
Are people considered kind of like natural resources? Cause like, you're from God and
Because
you're
we're created
on-
by God, yeah, I
and
guess. I mean,
available
I
on
don't,
Earth.
we use the natural resources. So we use to live. Okay.
Yeah, but like if you're like a nurse and you're taking care of a child, will the child kind of like?
Well, when
doesn't
we
mean that
when we
you're
talk
not-
about animals, you're about ready to read that in just a minute.
You're making no sense.
Okay, let's go on. Luke, that wasn't kind. Okay, energy resources, number, Hannah, you're reading the next paragraph.
Energy resources. Earth contains both renewable and non-renewable and renewable resources. Renewable resources can be replaced by natural means in a relative short amount of time. Non-renewable resources cannot be replaced as easily. Some of our energy resources are considered non-renewable. We are gradually using up the Earth's supply. However, no one knows how many of these energy resources lies beneath the Earth's surface.
Good, okay. Let's stop right there. Okay, so this was supposed to be discussing this in the groups, and I forgot to do that. So the careers that we just talked about, that was supposed to be in groups, we'll skip that. Alright, renewable resources, this is your next vocab word, so write this one in please. These are resources that can be replaced by natural means in a short amount of time. Short amount of time basically means in your lifespan. So within in the years that you're living on Earth, okay? So what do you think out of all of those resources, natural resources that we talked about, does anybody think of maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of these that actually are renewed very quickly and that they're not like, they don't take hundreds of years? Adam? Wind, very good.
I don't want to say. I feel like it's dumb. Like you know how when your phone dies and you can charge it and it doesn't take like years to charge.
But think about a natural resource that does. So you're right, no, that's good. Dalen?
They grow
Well,
back before.
not necessary, I see what you're saying, because of course too, we just saw the video of how God makes sure that happens, right, with the forest fires, but trees are not actually considered a renewable resource, because they do take a while to grow. Go ahead.
Or electricity.
No, that's not a natural resource.
Water.
Water,
Oh,
good,
water.
and
What-
do you know, I mean, we're gonna learn about this in a little bit, but what do you think is God's way of making sure that water stays a renewable resource? That means it's quickly replenishes. Standard?
Precipitation.
Yeah, which is that whole, what is that thing called?
Water
The
cycle.
Water cycle, very good. Anything else that you guys can think of, the renewable resources? Shelley?
You already said wood.
Wood, because we got Mr. Beast.
We should just talk about that. That's not actually an actual renewable resource. Anybody else? What about
Sky.
the sun? The sun?
Air.
The sun.
I mean, it's a heat technically. I was talking about
Heat is not considered a natural resource, but the sun is, and it gives us energy, heat energy.
Because I was
correct?
talking about like
Air?
the sun. I was like talking about like the sun's heat.
Oh, okay, that's okay. Next, air, yes. Okay,
Non.
a non-renewable resource, this is your next vocab. And by the way, with the renewable, if you wanna drop it your water or wind or something like that, you can. The non-renewable resources are resources that cannot be replaced easily or quickly. They still are a resource that God has made, that they still can be replaced. But we have to be really careful with them, because we wanna make sure that we don't we don't use it so much to where it takes a long time for them to actually be replenished. Oh, so,
The sun.
no, the sun is always replenished because it's always there. Luke.
Coal.
Coal, good example. Xander.
Trees.
Trees. Galen. Huh? Fossil fuels, good. Do you have another answer? Oil. Good. Yep. These are all things so that you probably, if you watch the news or you're kind of aware, this needs to be good. If you're aware of different things that you hear on the news, you'll see things like different ways that they try to make sure that we are reserving our oil or coal, things like that, right? We're gonna be learning about all that stuff later. Okay, when you guys are done with this, Josiah, you're the next paragraph, if you can read it. We're just gonna finish page 52 and then we'll be done for the day. Go ahead, Josiah. Or when you're done writing.
It's fossil fuels. Right?
Yep.
Petroleum, natural gas, and coal are all fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are formed when the remains of plants and animals are buried quickly. These fossil fuels provide most of the energy that we use.
Okay, next vocab is fossil fuels. Okay, these are formed when the remains of plants and animals are buried quickly. Can somebody, as you guys are writing this, can somebody think of a story in the Bible where fossil fuels could have been created very quickly? Somebody who hasn't answered yet. Ari? Or wait, let's go with Danielle. I think she hasn't actually answered. Have you answered? Noah's Ark. In fact, we're gonna look at some research and some what a lot of the scientists say about the fossil fuels formed during the flood. Noah's Ark story. Shadi, were you gonna say something
I
else?
was missing the flood, but
It's the same thing, yeah. Okay, so what are some examples of fossil fuels that we just read in the book? There was 3 of them. Shadi, give me one. Coal. Hayden?
yeah, natural gas.
Natural gas.
Petroleum.
Petroleum. Good. All right. Also, next paragraph.
Is it petroleum?
Yep, petroleum.
Petroleum means liquid rock. Petroleum is a liquid form of fossil fuel. We use petroleum products for transportation and heat our home, and to heat our homes. In some areas, power plants use petroleum to produce electricity. Because petroleum is a non-renewable resource, geologists constantly search for new oil fields. One of the biggest oil finds in the United States was Alaska's Prudhoe Bay field. It is the largest known oil field in the United States.
Okay, you stop there. I know Alaska is a huge state, but Dalen, did you ever see this? No, and you live there. You didn't live there, right? Okay, next paragraph will be, Luke.
Well-
Number twos.
Wells are built to retrieve the petroleum or crude oil. Different types of drilling machines are used depending on the location of the oil site. During the oil boom in Texas in the early 1900s, drilling units dotted the landscape, but many other oil fields are located under oceans and seas. Special drilling units or drill ships are used to retrieve the oil from these fields. Oil wells
Okay, next, Kate.
Oil wells sound like crude oil, but the crude oil has to be refined before it can be used. Pipelines and ocean-going tankers transport the crude oil to refineries. A refinery is a factory that separates crude oil into different products. The Alaskan pipeline, completed in 1977, is 1,290 kilometers, 800 miles long. They transport Alaskan oil from the Prudhoe Bay in northern Alaska to the port city of Valdez. Ships at Valdez transport the oil refineries in the lower 48 states.
Good, so here we have the oil, the crude oil that is drilled. That one they can't use, so they have to separate it and make it usable by in transporting it to a, where's the place they transport the oil to?
To an oil factory?
To, what is this, what is it called here, it's in bold?
A refinery.
Refinery, okay, and then they said that the longest refinery is in Alaska as well. The largest transport to the refinery is in Alaska. So we're gonna watch a video here on a little bit about this and how the oil is refined. And you can see in this picture here on page 53, all the different levels that the crude oil goes through to get to where we use it. And what are some things we use?
Gasoline.
Oil for gasoline. What else? Heating. Yep. All kinds of stuff, right? Yeah.
Car.
Okay, let's finish page 53 and then we'll be done. So we'll go Jorge, Caden, and then Adam for the last three paragraphs. Jorge, go ahead.
In its original form, crude oil is not a very useful product. However, by refining it, we can get many different fuels and products. Heating the crude oil causes it to separate and vaporize. The vapors are collected, and when they condense, they form many of the products we associate with petroleum, gasoline, kerosene, diesel, and others.
And those are the examples that come from it that we just talked about. Okay, Caden, next paragraph.
Most of us recognize that gasoline and heating oil are crude oil products, but we may not realize that petrochemicals produced from oil are used in many other ways. People use petrochemicals for making plastics, paint, fabrics, makeup, and cologne. Some petrochemicals are even added to certain fruits to help keep them from spoiling.
Okay, did anybody know any of that? That was something new to me when I was actually, did you know that before? Okay, so it's not just the oils and the kerosene and the diesel that we get from oil, it's from when it vaporizes, these petrochemicals form and they help us to make things like plastic and paint and fabrics and makeup and cologne. Alright, so there's a lot of uses for crude oil.
The makeup.
Last paragraph, Adam, yeah, you want to know.
The use of crude oil products can cause pollution. Spills sometimes occur at oil wells and during transportation ships that run aground, hit other ships, or catch fire may cause spills as well. Air pollution from using petroleum products is also a problem. Some cities have poor air quality because of the waste materials. Thousands of cars and dozens of factories produce as they burn petroleum products for energy.
Good. Okay, we're gonna stop there, but actually just look at the picture really quick, the distillation tower. let's start from the bottom and let's together read each of these levels. So it begins with crude oil, okay, and then goes up to, let's go up on the left, skip the one on the right. It goes next to heated oil vapors, heated oil condensation, and then it goes up to kerosene, jet fuel, gasoline. Are you guys seeing it? And then up to condenser, goes out gases and light gasoline, and the very bottom, heavy oil residue used for roads and roofing. So it also creates heavy oil to create roads and roofs. So probably tar is my guess, I don't know.
It has to use water.
Okay, so there's a lot of things that we can use this natural resource, which is called what?
Renewable resource.
A non-renewable resource, but it is also, what is the actual beginning, where does it come from?
Petroleum.
Fossil fuels, good, and it is what? It is oil, crude oil that comes from the ground, it's from fossil fuels, good. So we're just, lastly, before you guys can shut your books, we're just gonna watch a video here of a little bit about the oil refinery explained.
Wait, do we have one of those here?
Refining
we do have
begins with a
that.
process called distilling.
Can you shut the?
After oil is superheated, it becomes vapor. The vapor is fed into the distillation unit. As it rises and cools, the vapor turns back into a liquid. Using stacks of trays, the liquid is easily collected and separated by weight.